Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you for watching Bitcoin Morphosis video. I'm here to show you that you could either choose the D pill or the B pill. And we'll see how far down the rabbit hole we go if you do choose the Bitcoin pill. I'm here joined with Inti Campo.
Good morning, people. How are you doing today?
And today we've got a good show. The digital dollar is very important to talk about because, man, it's going to be a reality whether we like it or not. I'm going to talk about it in the sense of how a programmer would build this thing out because I've read through the documentation that they have given on the website, the digital dollar website, and we're going to be doing a little bit of discussion of that. But before we do that, we're going to go into the TA of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you know what? I want to do some random coin, right? So if you've got a random idea coin, ask Inti, and he'll select the coin that we're going to do TA on. So if you're interested in that, stick around, and we'll do TA on some coins. But before we do the TA, Inti's got a few words to say.
Yes. As always, people, it's worth to remind you that this video is for entertainment purposes only and this is not financial advice. Please do your own research before putting any of your hard-earned money on the market.
Awesome. Radical. Beautiful. Okay, let's go on to the TA for today. Alrighty, so Bitcoin is looking like it's going to roll over, right? We're creating some sort of, like a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. As you can see, we're struggling to break through the this particular yellow line, which is the 11,288, right? And then once we break, we're the decision part is the key thing here. Here's the problem with taking a trade on a break here, right? Yes, you're going to be playing from a position of strength if you're coming, because this Bitcoin's target is a lot higher. That's for sure. Right, on this breakout, this overall breakout. So you can probably, it's not 100% sure, but there's a high probability that after this breakout is indicating that we want to go a lot higher, not just this quick pump here and that's it. No, we got to go at least to the $12,000 level. So, but on the return, right? So because we're going to return a little bit, what you're seeing here is that this thing. It's going to break this level, and where is it going to stop? This is a level where it cannot close a 4-hour candle below this level, right? Below the 4-hour candle, close below 11,100 is a detrimental sign, which could see prices in the in below 10,000. Could, right? Should we fail here? But the interesting thing is we could wick all the way down to here, to 10,500, meaning that we could have a 4-hour candle that goes all the way down here, but then comes and closes way back up here. So, where do you put your entry? Where do you put your? How do you buy this market? And the best thing I could tell you is you're just going to have to accept losses should this break. And let's see here. I'm gonna take this long can. I don't know. I'm gonna go to this part right here, and I'm gonna go here. And should it break, you're just gonna have to accept the loss and walk away. All right. So and yeah, could be a scam wick. Right? So you have to accept that. So we could, as you can see, if this head and shoulders plays out. We could probably come all the way down to close to where my stop loss is right here. If we were to enter at the 61.8, so you have to take your bet and accept what's going to happen, no matter what. As a trader, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Right? If you're going to trade this, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to accept what's going to happen. And I think the 61.8 is a very strong. The Bitcoin loves the 61.8, so I feel that this is going to be a very strong point of resistance where Bitcoin may not pass the 61.8. It's all possible, but I don't. I really think that the strength is here at the 61.8. So that's where I think if you were to trade this downward movement, right, and it doesn't mean it has to break down here. It could just only break down to the 11,100 and then bounce off that, or it could just bounce off here and then just no, you know what? No, I'm not going to break this head and shoulders pattern and continue going higher. You just don't know, and you have to accept what the market does. All right, with that said, I want to take a look at the bigger picture, right? Because everybody wants to know what the bigger picture is. If you were to buy and hold, right here, that would be the most safest thing for you to do, right? Just buy Bitcoin at any price, because you know what, the fundamentals, we are very juiced with the fundamentals here. We're very lucky to be with this kind of asset, where there's no other outcome but an upwards movement at this point, unless Bitcoin has something fundamentally wrong with it. And since there's no fundamental damage right now to Bitcoin, nothing you can say, okay, well, the encryption, the encryption on Bitcoin has been broken, or somebody's created more than 21 million, right? Can create more than 21 million on the blockchain. If those things are not, if that's a fundamental change that has occurred, you know that, okay, fine, yeah, the price, this will have a damaging effect on price eventually. Not right away, unfortunately, because the way TA works and the way the markets work, right? It would not have an effect right unless it was all of a sudden. And of course, it would go down fast, but then it would come right back up just as fast as people. Not everybody has the information, all the information at the same time. So, what we're saying here, right, is that Bitcoin has, if it does not break down to this downward sloping triangle, right? And even if we break down to this downward sloping triangle, it's still in a bullish stance. But we are definitely not. I think we are looking at Bitcoin not breaking this downward trend line. Should we break down from the 11,000 area? So I would look for, if we break down, look for Bitcoin to hold any of this upward trending triangle. Going further out to the daily, you can see that Bitcoin, right? We've seen, everybody's seen the plan B, and you've seen that once Bitcoin breaks its triangle, it's this pennant pattern that it always does on the larger time frame and then smaller time frames every single time. It's a very repetitive thing, right? We always take off to the upside, and the reason is we're getting more and more people coming into this space, realizing what it is and knowing that, hey, you know what, this is the investment of a lifetime, and I'm here at the right point in time to get in to take advantage of it. And a lot of corporations are starting to see that, and I hope you guys are as well. So I was planning on buying quite a few things in the next for Christmas and the next few months, but I decided, you know what, I'd rather hold the Bitcoins. So much so that, I tweeted out, hey, should I sell my gold for Bitcoin, right? And a lot of people, right, I don't know what happened with this guy. Obviously, if this happens to you, make sure you learn one thing: never do that again. Right? That's the most important thing you can learn. Never do that again, right? If you get liquidated and you lose 25,000, right? Don't don't go back in and try to get your money back. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. All right. So most of you guys have said, yeah, hell yeah, trade your gold for bitcoins, and I agree. The only problem is the government, right? The paperwork involved to do this is massive.
I thought it was pretty easy to sell gold. I thought the whole system was done for you to sell it instead of buying it.
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
No. You have to, like, for example, I'm going to have to report this to the government, obviously, the sale,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm going to have to go through a dealer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that dealer, he's going to obviously, report that to the government as well, right? Because, he can't count the cash as his cash. He's only going to take his difference, right?
Of course.
Right, that he sells. So I will have to, like, report that on my taxes and report the gain, and then go and buy bitcoins, and then I'm going to be paying a heavy tax fee come April, right?
Ouch.
Right, so this of next year. So yeah, and then on top of that, right, the all the paperwork involved, and then making then the risk of taking that gold and going to actually to sell it, right? Is the dealer going to rip me off, right? I am in Chile, right? And is the like I can go to, like, also, oh, we'll buy your gold, your used gold jewelry stores, right? But those guys, they charge you like 30%, right? So never go there, right? They'll rip you off by 30% of the gold, right? So you'd be down 30% on what the actual melt value of your gold is. So yeah, there's a lot of things involved when selling a physical gold bar, and so yeah, it's not that easy. And even if it wasn't physical, right? If it's digital gold, well, unless it was actually a crypto gold, it would be a lot easier. Yeah, and so yeah, that's why I want to do it. I think that I only asked the question to see just to be curious of what you guys would say. It's just that the problem is the work involved. It's like part of me does not want to do it because of the work involved. Right? And so what? And so yeah, I'm sure I can make more money, but yeah. Is it worth it? Because I just already have a lot of Bitcoin. Okay, let's head over to Ethereum. Okay, Ethereum, right? Remember how we were talking about yesterday that we needed to like that Ethereum has already what's it called, had a divergence, and then we were going to look for the we're going to either look for the Hail Mary or the 61.8. I'll take a look what happened here, right? Remember? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember that,
I do remember.
Look at that.
Now ask me if I took the trade you take.
Did you take the trade?
No.
No. Okay, that's all right. And so yeah, there you go. We have it right now. You could have taken your profits, right? Taken half off the table, right? And maybe see the rest run, right? You probably been a little bit scared here, but I think we're gonna break here. I really think we're going to break here. We still have some room to fall. The 4 hour says here. And if we go down to the shorter time frame, let's see what we got. Does the shorter time frame have any indicators for us? No. So, yeah. It says... yeah, I think, yeah, I would have to say yeah, but it's a little weak. It's a little weak. It looks like it doesn't have a whole lot of room to break down here. Looks like whatever this red line is, it looks like that's all it's got. Right? Interesting. I wonder where that red line comes from. It's a daily. Okay, it's a daily red line. Okay, I got it. It's the lower level of the of my daily. Here, let me show it to you. You can see this is where the market has stayed above for quite some time. It broke it, but then it would break above it every single time. So we're in a bullish stance, right? So long as we stay close to this line. Um, we don't have to always stay above it, but when we stay above it, that's very bullish. All right, there's a lot of things going on here, and let me just go down to the hourly and clean it up. All right, so this trade, right, is over. Don't try to short this, right? Remember, anything could happen. This market could just, come down here and quickly just jump up, like bounce off this red line faster than you can blink. So shorting it here is not a position of strength. So whatever you do, don't do that. Yeah. So I think that's all we got to say about the short-term time frame. There's not much left to do here except wait, right? Can you get into a long? Not until I wouldn't do any kind of long until we come back to the 61.8 or 78.6. If those two come down, if we come down into this area here, that's where I'd start looking for a long on this particular asset. All right, Inti, have you been looking around for a cryptocurrency, a random currency that people are talking about before we talk about the dollar, digital dollar?
There are plenty. There are a lot. For this, there is no coin that has been mentioned more than one, aside of XRP. So, for example, the ones that were more mentioned were XRP, XDAI, and I chose another altcoin. You want a random altcoin?
What do you got for me?
What about Aggie? AGI.
Aggie. All right, let's do Aggie.
That one was from Nuts 11 from Twitch.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clean up my chart a little bit before we did that. All right, there we go. Because I need to figure out where we are on the longer time frame. So the longer time frame, again, like I was saying, as long as we stay close to this line, we're in a bullish stance, and we'll continue to march higher. Probably going to do some sort of nasty, crazy blow off top. Another one coming soon. Should we hold these levels here, going into the 600 level before we come back and retest this line, that would be awesome. Alrighty, let's take a look at that coin. So what was it called?
AGI.
GI. Interesting. I already got paid on this coin several times. All right. Let me just zoom in. All right, and let me switch to the daily. Yeah, so I sold half on a double here. I sold half on a double there. Where do you think we should be interested in buying this coin, Inti, now that it's coming back?
Anything below 61.8?
Exactly. Right now, we're below 61.8. Should we be... Is it okay to buy some here? Yes, it is. As long as it's a small, very, very tiny amount, not something massive. Right? You can start your what's called nibbling, right? At this level, right? So maybe 0.5% of your total portfolio, you can put in some in here, and that's it. And then maybe I really think if I'm looking at this chart here, and because it's a coin that I'm not familiar with it, and it's probably new, generally what happens to newer altcoins is that they come back to the 88.6. And because there's no clear W here, I would say that the 88.6 is the most likely target for this price, for this to come back, retrace back to. So if you're really interested in loading the boat, you should buy a little bit more at the 78.6 just in case, this thing just all of a sudden takes off. And then a little bit more, and then really load up on the 88.6, right? Should we come all the way there. But not too much. Never ever go more than 5%, but really it should be 2% on all these altcoins, unless you're doing fundamental analysis on them. If you've not done your fundamental analysis, never go above the 2%. If you're only doing TA, keep your total portfolio weight on any particular asset below 2%. Alrighty. With that said, let's go on to what the main topic of today, which is the digital dollar. There's this digital dollar project.org that is run by Accenture, right, and the Digital Dollar Foundation. They're creating. I'm sure that they're not actually directly connected with the Federal Reserve, but they want to be able to win the award, probably to develop such prestigious application and project, and yeah, it's going to happen. It's just that these guys, right? They're just writing up what the proposal should be and how they should how it should work and how it should work for the public. And it was interesting. This is an interesting read, and I was glad to actually read this thing. But let's start off with the top part where they talk about all the different things they need to do, right? In order to make this thing work, right? It's got to be a tokenized and make it a true bearer instrument, right? A bearer instrument means here you go. I'm going to pay for XYZ with this particular note. Right, it's going to be issued by the Federal Reserve, right, and that's fine. But what's disturbing, and which will cause a lot of problems for them, is that distribution through existing two-tier banking system and regulated intermediaries. These regulated intermediaries have their own agenda. If you develop this for the central bank, it will reduce It will reduce your basically the time involved in getting other industry members involved, because these other guys, they're gonna want to put in their own systems or make it so that their own system so that their own systems are compatible right out the gate, right, and they don't have to do anything or have to do at least amount of work. Or they're going to actually try to put some sort of hole in so that they can get some sort of advantage always. So because of that, this will slow down the development. If I was the head of the development of this project, and I don't see them being able to pull something like this off in a very short amount of time. Now, what they're talking about is developing this thing for as early as January 1. 2021, which is not possible. Why? Is because they have too many requirements, right? Balance toward individuals' privacy rights and necessary compliance and regulatory policies. This cannot be. This cannot happen with the amount of requirements, KYC requirements, and regulatory. Based on the regulatory policies, right? This is not going to happen. There is no the balance between the individual privacy is like a scale that where your privacy is just completely gone. So you can pretty much forget about it, right? The only privacy you will have is the privacy between you and another person that's not connected to the banking system. So you can forget about that. a monetary policy neutral transaction object, right? Basically, they just want it's just something that's supposed to be anyone could use it, and I don't think that's going to happen, right? Based on how they want to develop this. Now, go and get into that in a second. And another thing is akin to cash account based commercial money and currently function the current function. So basically, how current cash functions, right? I can just take some cash, go to a store and buy something, and that's it. Right? Architected and built for the future flexibility and driven only by functional requirements that are informed by policy and social decisions. Okay, so it's got to be able to sing and dance whenever they want it to do. So whatever crazy policy they could come up with, it's got to be able to support that. Okay, yeah, it can be done. It's not going to be. It's going to be a very complicated system, right? Sort of like Ethereum, right? Able to transact offline, both offline when both parties are close in physical proximity. Now, when I think about how this thing would work on an offline basis, like for example, let's just say you're in a rural situation, because they had an example here, right? It's a good example, right? Where Jane, a 45-year-old woman with a high school degree and blah 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 blah. But anyway, she's living in the middle of nowhere where there's a bank, right? Every 0.3 miles, 100 miles squared, meaning that in 333 miles squared, there's one bank. Okay? And so, in order for her to get this new digital currency, she's got to go to this one bank that's 333 miles away, and provide her KYC, and then she could use this digital currency, which allows her to actually transact offline, to make payments should her internet not be working, because she doesn't actually have she has a cell phone but not a computer, right? And so how would that be programmed in, right? How would you be able to transact offline? Well, what's it called? Lightning Network gives us a brief example of that. It doesn't. You can say, well, Lightning Network stays connected, but you know what? Effectively, Lightning Network can function outside of being connected to the network, to the Bitcoin network, because it's using the what's it called? The signed transactions, right? The ability to know that your transaction can be signed, and know that you have that those last Bitcoins, to be able to transact those Bitcoins between other people offline. Now that can be done. Unfortunately, what will happen is fraud. In order to make this work, in order to make this offline feature work, you would have to be able to undo changes should somebody defraud you, because you won't never have all of the information. You can only have a certain amount of information on a particular phone about who has what, and because of that, you could always be falsified. That information can be falsified. So the only way for this to work is that once the person comes back online and he's found out they've been defrauded, the system will either make them whole, right, or wait for them to wait for the other party that they know who they were transacting with to make them whole. And so that will be an interesting set of circumstances. Who is going to pay should the fraud case occur? Because there's no way for this to work unless there is a portion where, hey, you know what, we can't have all the data on the client's computer to know if that person's digital asset is going to be legit. So we're going to assume that it is until we find out it isn't, and then we'll reconcile the situation after the fact. That's all they can do in order to make this possible. And so, I don't see how that's this might be taken out. Being able to transact with both parties offline. That's the only way I can see this working. Accessible to all persons in the United States, regardless of location, income, or federally protected asset class. Yeah, that's fine. But what about the people who are outside of the jurisdiction of the United States and who wants to actually participate in the dollar, which is the majority of where all the dollars are? Support and complementary addition of payments sectors and innovation. So basically, they want to be able to allow you and I to program against this new digital dollar directly and be able to add features to it and augment it and grow. Good luck, right? Because with all the control that they're going to need in order to make this happen, right? This part has to be dropped, right? Because they need too much control in order to make it work. So I really think that both offline transactions and programmability will be lost in order to make the digital dollar function quickly in a short amount of time. Maybe even possibly the program because the programmability is over here for the custom is for the general public. Maybe they might even have to get rid of the programmability for the central banks and so forth, so that they can change when the policy changes, which is right here. They might have to get rid of this feature as well in order to make this actually a viable project in a short amount of time. So, with that said, this whole currency would be actually less valuable and less useful than Bitcoin, and I really see it getting crushed. And even when they do roll it out, people will realize very fast. Let's just say they roll out a half-assed job, they'll realize that very fast that Bitcoin is superior to this, and because they're actually increasing their wealth, and you will see people transferring very quickly out of this digital dollar into Bitcoin, unless they have a feature saying, no, you can't do that, which is also a possibility. Okay, well, I've gone on, I've blattered on for over 10 minutes now. I hope you've learned something about this new digital dollar and how they're going to create it and whether or not this is going to be possible. And let's head. We're going to be heading to the question and answer periods, but if you're watching this after the fact, the question and answer period, you have to, and you want to participate in the question and answer period, you're going to have to purchase either the DJ15 token, which is located right here on Uniswap. You can find that links in the description below. Also, you could also purchase. Go head over to www.pandoraswallet.com and purchase a subscription there as well. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, right, so you get notified whenever a new video comes out. And thanks again. Cheers, people.
Bye.